All right, so, oh, I can move that. Okay, so I have my agenda here, and the first item on it is Google Classroom integration. So if you go to peardeck.com, and I know we didn't go over how to put things side by side, but I would say even if you do it on your phone, there's some things that I would like you to do, even if it's on your phone while you're watching the webinar, if that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead to teacher login and log in with Google. And of course, you have to choose your account. So in order to turn on the Google Classroom integration, you're going to click on yourself up here. And you see how it says My Account? If you click on My Account, and then where it says Settings, you can go ahead and turn on or off this classroom climate thing if you have it. I'm not sure if you'll have access to the immersive reader. I think that's because I have a free trial. But Google Classroom's right here. So you're definitely going to want to turn that on and enable student push notifications so that it'll send them an email when you send them an assignment. And then you're probably going to want to turn on takeaways as well. This will send the session notes to the students. And then I think the default is that require student logins is already on. So the next thing, you can see that this is the agenda, and the first link here where it says Pear Deck Student Assignments, the title, goes, wait a second. Yeah, it goes to this presentation to remind you basically everything on here we just talked about, but there's a link here that goes to a help section. This one just tells you how to do it. There's lots of videos and links galore in case you forget how to do something. So I used to have the Pear Deck add-on, so it's up here already. If you don't and you open I see that there's a couple things in the chat. Are there any questions?
I'm going to put a link to the agenda in the links. I'll give you the agenda, Amanda. The link to this slide deck is inside there.
Yeah. So if you open a blank Google Slides, then you click on add-ons, and you see down here it says Get Add-ons. Go ahead and click on that. And Pear Deck's right here. If I did not see it, I can always start to type it. I will see it here. Go ahead and click on the Pear Deck, and you see the button that says Install. And then go ahead and continue and give it permission. Of course, I'm going to have to click on my account to do this.
Okay, so can you take a second and describe what Pear Deck is or its capabilities?
Pear Deck basically is a way to give formative assessments in an engaging manner. There's a couple of different ways to do it, and we're going to talk about them. One is teacher-led, so you're in control, and the students are kind of following along with you, which might be ideal for in the classroom. We're going to talk about student assignments, which is also called student-paced lessons, which is probably more appropriate for remote learning right now. But it would also be great for homework or for review. And I'm about to show you guys an example in a second before we get too much further. So let's assume that it actually added it. And reload this and hope it doesn't take forever. So you can see that it did add it because right now I have a Pear Deck button right here. So the next item on, oh, I'm sorry. The next item actually on the agenda is the Power Up Chrome extension. And there's a link right here. It goes to the Google Chrome web store, which I can actually open in another window. Again, it will take you right there, but if not, you could always go to the Chrome web store and search for Pear Deck, and it's Pear Deck Power Up. Basically, if you install it on your computer, it will make videos and animations go smoothly. So if you have animations on your slideshow, everything will present perfectly if you install this Power Up. Well, actually extension, but they call it a Power Up. Okay. So how students join. Once you have your Pear Deck add-on in your Google Slides, all you have to do to ever use Pear Deck is click on Pear Deck, and hope it doesn't take forever like this is right now. Sorry, it says that it's working. But on the right-hand side here, there we go, it's finally popping up. Here is your Pear Deck, and you can see at the top, it'll say present lesson. And just to the right of it is a hamburger. This is fun that it's not showing up. There's a hamburger here. And I believe the default is that it requires student logins, and it will use their Google, their email. This way, when students log in or join, you can tell who is answering what. Okay, it looks like there's a lot of chat. So are there any questions?
There was a question. It says, I installed it, but it says installing at the top. I'm assuming that the extension would probably be at the top of the screen, maybe.
That could be because I know like it ends up right next to where it says add-ons. You can see
Heather, I'm thinking that you have it inside your slides already. Can you open a slide and see if when you go to, can you point to add-ons? If you point to add-ons, can you click on that real quick? Rachel?
I'm trying to.
Okay. There should be a drop down and it should tell you what you already have installed. So you may already have it installed.
So you can see I have a whole list of add-ons here. And you can see that Pear Deck is also right here. If you think that you might already have it also, you can always go to manage add-ons, and then at the top it'll have the ones that you already have installed.
Yeah, it says that I have it installed, but you know how at the top of your screen, like you got that little box that had like the 3 lines? Like, yeah, like mine doesn't say that. It doesn't, like that's not, that little Pear Deck isn't coming up. It's saying install Pear Deck, but I already did.
I had to refresh my screen for it to show up.
Oh, thank you.
Because I knew that I had done it, but it wasn't there yet, so I went ahead and I refreshed my screen.
Thank you.
Welcome. Always happy when I have the answer to a question. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to go ahead and close out of this one. There's a little bit of moving parts on this. Oh my gosh, why is there such a lag? Because basically, I'm going to show you the instructor-led demonstration of it. So I have my little system resources. Okay, I have my this is actually a pre-made slide deck I added a couple to, just so we can get some experience with some of the things that you might be able to do with it. And at the bottom of the agenda, where it says resources, I have included a link that says Pear Deck templates if you want to find similar to this. I am so sorry that it's going so slow. Okay, so it's finally loading. So if I were to click start lesson, say you already have your lessons and you've added your slides that you want to do. I am so sorry. Hey, no. Sorry about that. If I click start lesson, no. Sorry, it's taking so long. There will be two options. One is student led, and one is, oh my goodness. Sorry, my dog's jumping on me. See, Andrea, it could be worse.
It makes me feel a little better.
Right, the biggest dog decided to jump on top of my laptop. Awesome. So you can see that it says student-paced activity here.
So the question is, instructor-led would be live in front of my class? That's the question.
Ideally, yes. It would be, I mean, theoretically, you could do it remotely, but you would have to have, I would say, 2 windows open plus your phone, and then your students would have to have 2 windows open or 2 tabs open so that they can see the webinar and they could see what you're presenting. And to me, I feel like that's a lot, especially for little kids. But in the classroom, it would be much easier to do it live, and then you would get instant feedback with that formative assessment.
There was a comment that says the Pear Deck website says you can do it remotely through Zoom.
Yes, and that's what I was saying. If you watch that webinar, you have to have your Zoom open and your presentation open, and then share your screen, but then you also have to have at least another tab or your phone to be able to watch student responses. And then your students have to have the webinar open and be able to see what you're doing or be able to enter. So either be watching it on a computer and then entering their answers on the phone, or doing it in 2 different tabs. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So it is entirely possible, and if you have older kids and you feel like you want to go that way, awesome. I just decided not to present it because I feel like it's a lot. So if I go ahead and click instructor paced activity,
Kelly, there's a question about the Google slide presentation. There was a link in here. I'm going to paste it in again. This is the document that she is using, and then inside that document there are links to all of these presentations. Can you show exactly which link opened up this slide deck that you're on?
I don't think I put this one on there yet, but I'll put it at the bottom. This
Okay.
is basic. This is just a pre-made one that's made. It's out of the.
The templates at the bottom.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I added a couple of slides because I thought we should have some variety. Okay. So you can see I was playing with this last night. So we're going to go ahead and start a new session, assuming that this actually clicks. Do we have another question while we're waiting for my computer to make it? Native? Okay. So if you guys on your phone or in your tab could go to joinpd.com and then go ahead and you can see that it's the teacher session here. Let me go ahead and minimize that. Go ahead and enter that code. it will ask you, if you go to joinpd.com, there'll be the little code. It looks like 9 students, 10 have already joined. Mine is asking me how I'm feeling because that's one of the things that I had turned on in my peardeck.com settings. So I'm just going to give it another second because I know we have more than 15 people in the training. And you could see down here while we're waiting that I could invite the class to this through Google Classroom. I could send them a link. And then this says Open Teacher Dashboard, which I actually have open on my phone so that I can go back and forth. The teacher dashboard basically will tell you which kid is answering what their answers are, and then you can kind of keep track of that and decide if you want to show any of those answers like live and in the moment. Say, you know, we had a lot of people that answered this. Let's have a discussion and say, you know, why did we answer this way, or things like that. Or it will save the session so that you could come back the next day and talk about how people did or why people answered the way that they did. All right, I'm gonna go ahead, even though we only have 27 people in, I'm gonna go ahead and start. So
Wait,
you can
somebody just asked, how do they join that again? How do they join?
join. You can keep joining as we go. It's joinpd.com, like join Pear Deck.
Open a new
Join.
tab and show them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Open a tab next to it.
So let's say I open a tab, and I'm gonna go ahead and hang on a second because I have this extension. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So you can see that I opened a tab over here, and I can go ahead and pull the side of it. You might have to.
No, how to join the PD. Like, I want you to type join PD at the top.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. So you can see it looks like this. And then I will enter this code right here, DMAZP, into that screen. And you could see it's right there, and then it will take me into the presentation. See, it will ask me how I'm feeling, and then it will take me to the first slide. So I'm going to go ahead and close out of that because my computer's already low on resources. You guys can't go forward to the next slide. You see it says slide 1 of 8 on yours. You can't go forward until I allow you to. So if I go ahead and click onto the next slide, you can see it says use the word bank to label the diagram. So on yours, it will not look like this. You have some tools at the bottom where you can either use a pencil, a highlighter. I like to use the text feature there and go ahead and put a text box there to type the word. If you are impatient like my husband, you could just draw a line from the word to the item. If you were done in 5 seconds or something like that, I can't see that because I have to switch over to my, but you can't move forward until I allow you to because we're in the teacher-led, teacher-paced. Okay. So I'm looking right now and I chose a response. So this is someone's response here. And you see that I have options as a teacher here. that I have it. I only chose one. I should probably actually choose a couple more. So this is as a list, and I can go and we can talk about with the class why people are answering this way. I could make it like a grid. Oh, internet, don't fail me now. So then I can see them like this. On mine, I can actually see who did what, but it is anonymous for students. Or if it's a different type of question, I could do an overlay so they would all kind of be on top of each other. It looks a little weird here, but at least we can see that you guys are geniuses and you know the answers to this. So once I'm done, you know, we're done discussing our question. I can go ahead and hide the responses. Do we have any questions about this part?
So someone said, do I have to click on something to submit my answers?
No. No. As soon as you enter it, I can see, even if you'd only done the first one, I can see, like, I think whoever was in blue and pink had only done one of them at the time that I chose to present it, and they finished it by the time. So it's just as you do it, it's shown. And I'm seeing that some of you guys did use lines, which is cool. So whatever I choose here, I also see it on my teacher dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead back to list mode because the overlay was a bit much for me. So I'm going to go ahead and on to the next one. Are there more questions?
Someone just said it's a lot like Desmos.
Yeah, somebody
Okay.
said they couldn't figure out how to type. Once you click the text box at the bottom and you click on your screen, it opens a box. You have to click inside the box where it says type here. I kept trying to type without clicking in the box and it wouldn't let me. So
We learn from doing. Definitely. And I know it's different on the computer versus on your phone versus on your tablet or your iPad or whatever. Okay. So I'm not going to choose any, I'm going to just go ahead and show all responses. And I'm going to go ahead and do the overlay so that we can kind of see what everyone is doing at the same time. And you can see it's real time. As you guys are drawing, your answers are showing up. So if I want to say, once you start showing this and then kids start changing their answers, you know how some kids do. If I want them to not be able to do that, I can go ahead, you see where it says lock screens here? I can go ahead and just click lock screen and it will make it so that you can't put any more answers. Or I can click and hold it and you could see I could choose a timer. So now you could see there's a countdown. You have 30 more seconds to finish answering this question. And then it will lock and you will no longer be allowed to put in an answer. Not something you have to do, but it might be beneficial. And you can see we're down to 5 seconds. If I want to go ahead and go back to my list mode, up here in the top left. Sorry, it takes so long to load. And you can see down here, it is locked, so no one is allowed to create answers anymore. So we could go ahead and look through different students and talk about why we think they answered things the way that they did. Again, I can't tell from looking at this, none of the students can, who did what. I can only tell on the teacher dashboard. Here's an example of more of a primary math problem. So again, you could use the writing tool, or you could go ahead and use the text box, depending on what you're comfortable with. So again, on my teacher dashboard, I've chosen a few to talk about. So we could talk about, you know, this is how one person answered. Oh, I was wishing that you had left it because it looked different a minute ago. So we could see how several people had one answer and then someone else had a different answer. Again, these are all pre-made slides. You could add into any presentation. You could have made your own presentation. You could have found a PowerPoint presentation online about history or whatever, and then put it into slides and then add these in as formative assessments as you go. So I'm going to go ahead and just show responses. Again, this is probably a good one that would be an overlay. And you could see, again, how there was one over here and then someone moved it. That might be something that you would want for the lock screen, because some kids like to go where most people are. So those folks that say, stop, I need help, do you have any questions?
We're just giving you a variety of answers.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But again, that's what you would do in class. So just showing you, but also showing you that's a great thing for the lock screen. If you put stop, I need help, and then you see everyone else is over here, you don't want them to change their answer necessarily.
Can you see from that screen, you have to go to the teacher dashboard to see which student would need help then?
Yes, but if you have it open either in another tab or on a phone or a tablet, you can see it in real time. And when I only choose a couple, like when I had 3 or 4 open, you star and choose which student responses you want put together. Because again, right now I'm on overlay. I could go ahead and do it in list layout, and I did not choose students, so I have everyone's response here. You can, and then I could scroll through and see. But if you have, you know, 23 answers, we don't want to take all day looking at the same thing. So it depends on the type of response, how you might want to present it. Are there any questions about that?
No, just someone just commented and said they moved it just to show it, and someone else said that they would be the confused student.
I appreciate that, because I would love to be able to show a different type. There we go. Thank you. So you can see that someone responded this way, and then someone else responded that way. And so we could have a class discussion about which one do we think is right, and why do you think that they answered that way? You should have seen my husband's face when I asked him to do this one last night. He was like, I don't know these. Again, this would be a perfect one to maybe show an overlay. You can see this is one person's, and when I click up here, the overlay, you can kind of see, ooh, it's getting to be a bit much. Or I could choose a couple and just present those. All right, last question for this deck. And again, it's kind of nice to have an overlay to see where people are putting things. And you could see, again, people are moving. So this would be a good one to do a lock screen on, because we had people over here, now all of a sudden they're all over here. Whereas if they had stayed that way, that might have been a good clue to me that maybe I need to reteach this because a lot of kids have misconceptions. Okay, so that's the end of this teacher-led slide deck. If I was teaching along and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a teachable
Okay,
moment or whatever, I could go ahead and click new prompt right here.
Rachel,
And
can you hear me?
yes.
Okay, because we couldn't hear you. I don't know what you just said. It was a little cut out. So could you go back the slide?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I said that this was the end of this teacher-led slide deck. So if I was teaching along and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, so we didn't get this, and I decide to reteach the hemispheres, which season is winter, et cetera, whatever. I could go ahead and click down here where it says new prompt. You can always add one on the fly. You can see these are some pre-made ones that might be good for the beginning of class, during class, the end of class. And then let's just say that I click this one, whatever. And then I asked you a question. Then you could go ahead and answer it on the fly. I could also, I don't think I can change it at the time, but I could ask you a question out loud. When you're actually adding them into your own deck, you could change the question, you can change the responses. So again, if I show responses, and this might be another one where it'd be good one to do. I have a timer and then a lock screen, because you don't want kids to take forever. Again, most of them, once they see it, they're all gonna choose one way or the other. So again, when you're presenting in a teacher-led example, you can always, at any point, add a new slide. Okay, so now it is locked, and if you didn't get your answer in, you're stuck. So you can see right here, I can end the session, or if I click those three dots, you can see that this says unnamed session. I'm going to go ahead and say webinar teach. If I know how to spell teacher.
You have a question?
Yes.
It says, can students make more than one reply? Or does it just change them and you see the last answer they put in?
It changes them and you see the last answer.
I'm not sure if that's the question. It says, can students make more than one reply? So I'm trying to read into it a little bit.
It's tied to their email address. So it would be the last answer that they had. So like whoever had that winter was on the right-hand side of the globe, if they saw everyone else was on the left and then they moved it, it would look to me like they had it on the left. So again, I entered a name to save the session. If I click those three dots again, I have the option to make it full screen. I can open the teacher dashboard in a new window or on a new device. I could turn it into student paste at any point, or I could end the session. We're gonna go ahead and look at the dashboard after in the session notes, if that's okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this session. And then I had turned on to publish student takeaways. So anyone that joined and participated, I'm gonna publish them. So that means that you're gonna get, I believe, an email that's going to kind of go over the notes here. I'm gonna go ahead and click on the link.
There's a question. It says, do the kids need the app on their device or they can access through the browser?
Just the browser.
And is there a cost?
There is a premium cost for certain features, like the one feature that they're doing in beta right now is basically like a screen reader for kids that struggle with reading. So I think it's called Immersive Reader. So I think if you have a premium subscription, you have access to that. If you have a free subscription, you don't have access to that, but you have access to the majority of other things. And I'm sorry this is taking a minute, but
My guess is that if they have an iPad, I still don't think they need to have, no, that would probably just be a browser. I'm sorry. I was thinking Google Slides need the app, but you're not running through an app, you're running through the browser.
mm,
So another question is, will these save for the next school year, or do you have to recreate yearly?
the presentations are saved in your Google Slides. So you would have them forever. If the next year you wanted to modify them or add slides or whatever and still keep your original, you would just have to go to File and then make a copy. So basically, this one, File. Why is everything so slow? If it'll ever show me. There we go. Come on. Someone else said something or asked a question while
Yes,
we're waiting.
if you have students that are in different grade levels, are you able to make different cards for each student? So like if you have multi-levels in one class, can you send different cards to different kids on the same slide for different levels?
For the teacher-led, I would say no. For the student assignments, student-paced, student-led, yes, definitely. So you can see I'm at File and then make a copy. I can copy the entire presentation and then edit it, or I can copy only the slides that I want and then add whatever I want for the next year. Again, it was downloading. It still is. Basically, all those students, they're each going to have their own individual file of all of the slides that we went over. It could be used as a study guide, or it could be used as feedback. And you can have them reflect on why they answered the way that they did and maybe how they should have answered. They're printable and they automatically save to your Google Drive, which is why this is taking a long time. I'm going to go ahead and leave that for now. And I can get out of here because we're done with that session. And I'm going to get out of that. Okay. So this is my demo, my example of the student assignments. And I know that I tried to do it on an older phone. So there was some parts that didn't show up, but the link would show up at the bottom. I know on the computer I didn't have any problem. On my new phone, I didn't have any problem. Questions?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and click Pear Deck, and we're going to wait an eternity for it to load so that I can start to present. The biggest difference between the teacher-led, you were stuck on the slide that I wanted you to be on, and you were at the mercy of my discussion points. The student-led is basically you're on your own. So I'm going to go ahead and click Start Lesson. And I know it seems like a random assortment of activities, but I kind of wanted to show like some primary activities and then some like high school activities, middle school activities, so that you could kind of see some options. Also in the student assignments, it's kind of cool to do something called app smashing, where you use more than one program. So I'm going to go ahead and click student-paced activity. Again, you guys are going to go to joinpd.com. Ooh, and I lost my phone. Okay, and you can see it says welcome to the teacher dashboard, and it'll tell you that the teacher dashboard is reached at peardeck.com/dash. So I go ahead and click that I got it. Again, this one, shared classroom would be perfect. because you could share this as homework. You could email students the link. I know it's a little bit harder to see. It's joinpd.com and then VXUSK. I'm going to go ahead and it's a little bit harder to see. It doesn't display it the right way. So you could see the code is right here. The join code's right there, VXUSK. I'm going to go ahead and, why is everything so slow? Never mind. We'll do that later. Is there a question?
No, I was typing that in the box, but my autocorrect changed the name of the site.
Oh, fun. And meanwhile, I'm going to peardeck.com/dash on my phone to get to the teacher dashboard. And you can see right here how many students have joined. At any point down here, I have the option to stop student paste and turn it into a teacher-led lesson. If, say I was doing this as classwork, and I realized that a lot of students were not doing well, I could stop it and teach. But for remote learning, I think this is a really great way. Again, once you're in, you can go ahead and get started. You will see basically this slide and then it'll say answer. And so you'll have an option off to the side. I know you probably can't see it, but I can see on my phone, if you see over here, like how many kids are on each question. And if I go, that's on the teacher dashboard. If I go in, I can see which kids they are, who has not responded yet to each slide. And whoever said, was there someone that said something about Desmos? There's a slide in.
So there was a question that says, how can you change the size of text? Or I'm not sure if that's a student side answer. Like if the student on their side can change the size of their text. And there's another question that says, can you put a voice clip in a slide, i.e. vowel sounds?
I believe that you can put the voice clip. As far as, hang on, I'm joining as a student right now so that I can see if I
can't do it on my browser. It's only one size, so I don't know. I know I can change the size. If I write it, it lets me change the size of the pen. Change the size of text on left with letter. It's a slide up. I don't have that option. Somebody said you have to click the text box first. But when I click the text box and I click in, I don't have those options. Not on mine.
yeah, I don't have that on my phone. So
But somebody said you can change the size of the text on the left with the letter. It's a slide up. Click on the T on the side and it changes the size of the text. I'm just saying I don't have that on mine as a student. It just has a big blue box and then it says the word text. I don't have like a down or an up arrow. It just lets me click somewhere and opens another box. You have to click the text box. Yeah, even when I'm in the text box, that doesn't mean it could be just my computer. And
Yeah,
then
I was like, what's this?
even after I write letters, I don't have the option to change. So I'm not. It could be the computer that you guys have, which you're lucky then.
And you can see this is the teacher dashboard because there's no need to present.
Tiffany,
Go ahead.
when you hit text box,
Yeah.
on the left, there's that little T to the left of the white dot. It's a sizer, it says.
So are you talking on the bottom when you click on the text that's blue with the
When
T?
I click the T for text, I get to the left of the white of the colored dots is like a little box with a dot. It says sizer,
Yeah, I don't have that.
and it's a slider,
Oh,
and it
okay.
makes it bigger.
I just have a big,
Above the pencil.
yeah, I do have that. Does that change the size? Oh, I see. Does that change
Yeah.
the size of your text too? Once you're in? No, mine didn't. Even though I went in my sizer and I changed the size. Oh, I see. Once you're done. Oh, look at that. Thank you for teaching me. So once you put your text box in, then you can change the side from on the slider. I got it. It's not actually in the typing. Thank you. You're on mute, Rachel.
Yeah, I'm a genius. Okay, sorry about that. I'm in the teacher dashboard because there's no need to present because you guys are student paced. So I can see who has answered what. If I want to go ahead and show this response to students later and discuss it, I would go ahead and click that little star there. So the ones that are starred are going to be the only ones that I present. So say, oh, okay, so say that Andrea put your mom on here and inappropriate words or something like that, and I don't want it to be shown. I can go ahead and click the 3 dots next to her name and hide her response so that no one will ever see it except for me. Okay, I want to talk about this one too because just like Jamie, I don't know the answer to that one until I watch the video. So again, once I select those are the ones, once I select them in my dashboard, and then if I hit show response, it's the same thing for the teacher led. Those are the ones that the students will see. And again, on this one, it's App Smash with Edpuzzle, so I would go into Edpuzzle to see. This one is just a video. The person who asked about being able to put an audio prompt into something, if you check out the Google form after the YouTube video, there is a Chrome extension called Talk and Comment. That if you turn it on, you see it's over here. You can record anything and it will give you a link that you can put into anything. So I basically recorded myself reading the first question and put it into the Google form. I know the Google Maps thing is a little bit weird, but it's the easiest way that I could figure out how to show that you could use maps in a small space so that it would be quick. But you could use it for
So there's a question. It says, is there a way now in regular Google Slides that students can't advance in a slide presentation when shared by the teacher?
if you want them to not be able to advance, you would click, you would either present it as a teacher-led.
Not asking, I don't think in Pear Deck. She said in regular Google Slides.
Oh. No, if they have access to it, I don't believe that you can keep them from.
If you embed it into a website, but they'll still be able to advance on their own. There's no way to stop somebody once you share a slide to advance at their own pace. Not that I know. Could be an extension. I could search.
Right. But if I was presenting this like as classwork in a typical school day, and I saw that when everyone got to the Google Maps, all heck broke loose, I could always click stop student paste and then do a lesson on how to do it and have it be teacher-led for a little bit and then go back to student paste. All you have to do to go back to it is those 3 dots. See how it says turn off student paste? You can also turn it on at any point.
Okay, so you have a question. It says, when you put in a Google form, like for kindergarten level, you can read the question to the student.
If you use that talk and comment voice notes anywhere, it's an extension. Again, if I turn it back on, it shows up here. I mean, you could use it basically anywhere. Hello. Okay, it's not registering that. Once you click the green button, it should pop up with a link that you can copy and paste into anything. But I think I might have too much going on right now. Is Brian on today? Because I was hoping that he would see the FET. Again, you're not limited to these. It's just, I wanted to give you a wide variety of options, kind of open your mind a little bit. All right, so I see that we're getting close to 11. I don't know if you want me to stop this and go into showing you how to do these things.
That would be great.
Okay, so I am going to go ahead. I'm not going to click in because that would shut it down for you. I'm going to go ahead. Actually, first, let me take a picture of this so that I'll have it. And I can add it to the agenda. I'm going to go ahead and click those 3 dots. Click leave session. That will leave the assignment open for you guys. I can be out of it. But you guys will still have access to be able to answer and explore as you want. Okay. Now I lost my agenda. Okay. All right. If I go, Talked about managing responses, showing responses, hide responses, timer and lock slide. If you want to see the student view, like say I'm making this, I could always just click Pear Deck and then present and then go on my phone or on another tab and be able to see what a student would see. To create a lesson, you can have any sort of slides that you already have, or you can just use the pre-made slides here. I'm going to go ahead and click. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and click a new presentation. I think that over there completely. Okay. All right. So you can see I clicked my Pear Deck add-on and it opened my little menu here. The template library are pre-made. So I have options here, beginning of lesson, during lesson, end of lesson. If I want critical thinking, social emotional learning, here's example questions, idea for any content area. There's some pre-made slides for littles, which are the K through 2, math, science, social studies, world languages, and ELA. So say I want ELA, I can go ahead and click this. It will automatically add that slide into. I say automatically like it's quick. And once it's added, I have the option to change anything that I would like. So you can see this is one where I want them to draw on there or add text. I can go ahead and theoretically, no, I actually can. It's just that my computer's slow. Change which books we are. Now I can't even think of any books.
Captain Underpants.
Thank you. Did it? Fantastic. I thought I was adding that. There it is. Okay. If I didn't like this Venn diagram, let me see. Not sure if it'll let me change this. I know it did on the one where I had the seeds and the flower, etc. They had the background image and I was able to click on it and change it because they had a little diagram about bees. Yes, so you see that I could go ahead and delete this and add any sort of graphic organizer or image from anywhere on the internet or anything that I created. Do we have some questions about that?
There was a question that said, would I be able to embed board maker picks as multiple choice options for my students?
I would think that you can. You might need to get a program like this. It's called Jing. So anything that I'm on, even if it is, say, my desktop, which is a nightmare right now, I could go ahead and take a picture of anything. So then you could go in your board maker and take a picture of the choice that you want, and then save it somewhere, and then load it in later. That would be my recommendation. Oh, just a side note. You can see that this loaded. This is our teacher-led session. So there's always one that's blank that you could use like as a worksheet or a study guide or whatever. But each person's, like if I hover over this one's Andrea's. She should have gotten an email with it. but it has her individual answers on there, and then she can reflect on them. So if you wanted to do that as a feedback component or a study guide or whatever, you could do that either for the student-led or the student-paced or the teacher-led sessions. Questions?
No, they just asked the name of your screen capture, which I think you may be seeing, but I think already on there, on
Yeah.
Journey is, you guys already have preloaded is,
Snaps, I believe, isn't it? Snippet?
Snippet, yeah.
Yeah, snipping tool. So if you go over to your start menu here and you click on it and you click snip, you can go ahead and click on your snipping tool, click new, if it actually registers it, and then I could choose an area, take a picture, save it, copy it, I believe annotate on it.
They ask if you're using a MacBook Pro.
No. Sorry about that. That would be something, would you want me to stop sharing my screen so that you can show how to do that?
If they're doing it, all it is Command Shift 4.
Oh, well then
I can put that in there, but she's not on a MacBook.
Oh no, I'm on a regular PC laptop. Okay, so those are the templates there. Again, there's also a whole slew of them in the Pear Deck templates under resources on the agenda that are pre-made that, again, you could do like I did, have the pre-made ones and then add your own. This one is Be Internet Awesome. It's for internet safety. Ask students a question. Basically, if I have a slide, so I add a slide. And I choose any one of these here, like any one of those that I had, any website. You would just go ahead and click that.
There was a question that said, can you pick by standards or is there a standards button?
I don't believe so. No, it's just, they're very basic. I would think by standards, you would probably want to create your own or go and find activities that you already have by standard and then you like snip them and then add them in, if that makes sense. So you can see I chose the one that says website, which is what a lot of the ones in the student-led thing were. So I could go ahead. This is a little scary for me because YouTube is still messed up. I had Bill take over my computer a couple times and we still can't figure it out. So. All right, so of course this is what we want.
So I learned a brand new word on Netflix this week. It's called a stumbler.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Okay, so if I go ahead and click share because I want to add this to my slide for whatever reason, this is the site that I want you guys to answer questions about. There is a little bit of a trick to it. So you see how I could copy this right here and it would be the straight up link. I want the embed link. And again, there are directions on this on the agenda and in the little slideshow. So you see how there's actually the website here, but it says embed inside of it in between those quotes. That's all I want from there. So go ahead and copy that. Go back to my presentation. Put my embed link in there. And you can see that that's the video that is going to show. I go ahead and click update slide. It's adding that as an interactive question. Which is going to take a second. But you can see down here, it says this is a Pear Deck web slide. So that activity is there, but you don't see anything here. It's down here. So again, this is, as a teacher, you can create whatever this is. You could add a snip from a worksheet, you could add whatever, put some directions here. I want you to watch the video, answer the form on the next slide, et cetera, et cetera. Again, the students will see whatever is here as their directions, and then when it says answer, when they click on that, it'll take them to that video. I have other choices, the draggable ones, if I add another slide. Or a draw slide, anything basically. Oh, it just added it.
There was a question that says, can you put the survey link in the chart? Oh, oh, never mind. That's
Oh, okay. I do have the survey link right here in bright pink on the agenda. It's on the first slide and the last slide of the attached slideshow. Again, these are all Pear Deck help links, basically. Or I also included, I haven't quite finished adding the last one, but the example ones, the student example is attached here. You can always go in there and then edit it. I'm going to add the teacher paced one, the teacher led one, and then you can go in and edit that one also. So if I were to go in here, you'll be able to just view this. If you want to change it for your own purposes, we go to File, and then make a copy. Name it whatever you want it to be. I am going to show you one other thing. This is the way that the slide is set up here. If you go down to page settings, page setup, sorry, you can go ahead and change it so that the measurements are in inches or centimeters or pixels or however you want it to be. If you want it to be more of a vertical slide or a horizontal slide, if you want it to print well, which is kind of why I chose the paper size, you can do whatever you want there on any of these. Max. So if I can get my slideshow to cooperate with me. So say this is the Ed puzzle one. Assuming that I ever get to that slide. Was there a question?
no, people are just saying thank you. Some people have meetings.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know it went a little bit long. Again, always available if you want a one-on-one session or help or whatever. Sorry, I'm trying to click my Pear Deck so that it'll open up. I can always go ahead and use this as a template and then go ahead and just change which video it is. You also change the picture on there. See down here, it says to edit the type of question, go back to ask students a question, which if you recall, the template library is up here and ask a question is a little bit farther down. So if I wanted to change the website to my Ed Puzzle video, I would just click website, get the embed link, and go ahead and switch it out, and then save it in your copy.
There was a question and says, how does the student watch the video?
On this type of slide, I know when you were in the joinpd.com and you're looking at it, it will have that slide to the left. Hang on a second, I'll show you. So basically, this is where you would change it if you wanted to. Close out of that. I'm going to go ahead. Wait a second. I don't even have to do that because it's still filming. So if I go to joinpd.com, except for it's not going to work on mine because my YouTube's messed up. Gotta look at my camera to figure out what the code was. It was hang on, VXUSK. So again, because this is student paced, I have the option to go back and forth and do whatever. You can see that there is, ooh, it's actually there. It's on the left-hand side is the slide that you create. And we added the link here. So that shows up to me on the right-hand side. If I were to watch it, oh my gosh. Sorry, I turned that down because it seems really loud to me. And because it is Edpuzzle, it won't let me skip ahead. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it play out so that it will show the question at the end of it. Does that answer your question about how do they watch the video? Once they're in joinpd.com and they have the right code, it should show up to them like this. Or on my phone, I would see this part and then it would say answer down here. I clicked on answer and then I would see this part.
Mine opened into a new tab.
Okay, good to know. See, we learn from these too. All right, it's almost done. So then you see how it pops up my question. I have the option to rewatch it, skip the question, which I don't want to do, or go ahead and choose an answer and submit it. Are there any other questions?
No, somebody just said that if it is a YouTube video, it has to be approved by me, not necessarily me, but the tech department. So yes, that is true if you want the students to view it and you're using a Chromebook.
Like a school device, correct? If they're using a school device, it needs
Just
to be
a
approved.
Chromebook. Chromebooks have YouTube blocked.
Okay.
And the question was, is it the same thing with Google Maps? Do they see that on the bottom? Can you go to the Google Maps one?
I see it right here. Again, when it was on my phone, I saw this part and then I had a little answer part and then it would open up for me here and then you can go ahead and click and move around.
Yeah, when I was on my computer, it had that answer on the bottom of the white picture, and I had to click on that.
So just to show you an example of the premium feature, right here is the immersive reader thing, because I have a free sample or free trial. Okay, I know I've already seen this, but thank you. So you can see it's going to start here. If I click this,
Google Maps, we are going to tour the Kent State.
It'll read it for me. And then it also gives kids like text preferences and things if they have translation choices. So that's an example of a paid feature. Any other questions?
Not right now.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing. Hopefully you find that useful and you can think of a way that you could use it. If you guys wanna, if you wanna share out how you think you might wanna use it, some ideas, I know people find that useful.
I think the student pace would be great right now if they created something and then could share it with the students and they could go through it. That's a good way to get feedback.
Definitely. And it's a good way to give them activities that are engaging.
Tiffany, you said something to me a while back, and this still would be kind of hard for kindergartners to understand. having two devices, the computer and a phone, maybe they wouldn't have access to both the devices. I would, but they wouldn't. This is what's frightening to me.
Right. Well, that's the problem. That's for at-home learning. If you're doing this in the class, you would be projecting in the front if you're teaching, and then they would just use one device.
Okay.
At home right now, they don't have to use two devices. If you're trying to do a Zoom call to them and have them do it at the same time, they have to have two windows or two devices. But if you just assign this to them, like through Remind, give them the link, they can just use one device and just do it and then be done with it. And then you see the results. That's why I think it's easier to do it that way. Does that make sense?
You could get on Pear Deck on Remind.
If you sent the link to them.
Okay. I need to really work on how to do Remind. Oh, Jesus.
I know that a couple people asked for that as well. Hang on a second. I think I'm on this one. Okay. So if I were to, sorry, it takes a minute. Student paste. Okay, so you see right here, you can copy that link and then put it into your Remind. And if someone uses Google Classroom, they could share it to their classroom just like that. So that's all they have to do is click on that link. It'll open up in their web browser and they'll be able to do the activities and you'll be able to see their work.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go that extra layer and put the Zoom in with it, I mean, if you have older kids, I think that's great. But like you said, for little kids, I think that's a little bit too complicated.
Yeah, it's too complicated for kindergarten. I'm looking at that. I'm not going no higher than second grade. I'm serious. Maybe second grade might, but kindergarten definitely no.
Is there any other questions?
Do you have any other questions? Because if not, we're just gonna go ahead and let you go today if you would like to take the survey.